This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Sierra 117, and you're listening to Podcast Unlocked, the world's #1 Xbox podcast. Now, finish this fight. Master Chief, out.
What's happening, friends? Welcome to Podcast Unlock, episode 471. It is the week of Thanksgiving here in the United States. We're recording on November 24th, 2020. The usual crew with you. I'm Ryan McCaffrey, alongside Brandon Tyrell.
Good morning. Hello.
Hello. Destin Legary.
Bam. Good morning. Good afternoon. Hello, everybody.
Are you testing some new stuff out? Is that your new thing?
Still got the bam. Just introducing people depending on when they're watching.
Yeah.
To the show.
Yeah.
Saying hello.
It works
Hi, everybody.
Miranda Sanchez, how are you?
I am doing cool. I got my coffee. I'm warm. I would like to give a good evening to anybody listening in the evening.
Miranda's got the evening
covering all our bases. Yeah.
Happy brunch.
The GMT crowd.
Tea time, whenever you're listening. We appreciate it.
For all the Oceanics out there.
So we have plenty to talk about this week, but it is a short week. We're happy to be here, though. Our production schedule is nice and normal, despite not having a second half of the work week. So I want to go around the table real quick. What are you guys going to play since we don't have to work? What's going to be spinning in your Series X, either hard drive or disk drive, over this Thanksgiving holiday weekend? Destin, I'm going to go your way first.
Yeah, I think I'm going to play Call of Duty. Yeah, Call of Duty Cold War, and I think I'm going to play Assassin's Creed. Those are the two on my list to play on console. Yeah.
Call of Duty, the campaign, or are you going to jump into some multiplayer?
A little bit of everything. I planned on doing a performance analysis for that game, and I've kind of pre-launch, we had access, but it had baked in, this is early access, so I didn't feel like I could start, and now I have a break. I feel like I can kind of dig my teeth in.
Yeah, I'm going to be eager to hear from you how it is on the Series X, because I reviewed it on PC, the campaign, and because the Series X build wasn't available at that point. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to hear what the deal will be with because it sure is pretty on PC. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Miranda, what are you going to be up to? You think?
Destiny 2, actually. So it's kind of funny that Destin did not say Destiny, but I'm actually playing Destiny because it's raid time. I'm so excited, y'all.
Destin said Call of Duty, and you said Destiny. Is there like a Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis body swap going on here? That
freaky. It's Freaky Tuesday.
I think so. Also, it's like the raid launched over this past weekend, but we didn't have enough people to raid, so I'm just grinding a little bit more to make sure that we're super ready. So I want to protect everybody and kill all the mobs. It's going to be a good time. But this is just one of the few events of the year that I just really enjoy sinking time in with my friends. So, I'm excited to go back.
Nice. That'll be fun. I think I'm probably going to fire up Watch Dogs Legion. That one's been on my list. I got to play it for 5 seconds, not even the entire intro mission, before. I think it was in the preview program before, it might have been after the review embargo had lifted, but before the Series X was out, and then I got busy with reviewing the console. So looking forward to diving back into that, because I got to be honest, the first 2 Watch Dogs games, I've tried to get into them, and they just haven't held my interest for very long. So I want to give this one a try, because I like a lot of what it's doing on paper. So, and it did get a good review from IGN.com. Brandon Tyrell, any Xbox Series X action going to be happening at your house this weekend?
Yeah. Not to curb everything Dustin said, but I'm still plugging away at Valhalla. I jump in every, maybe once a day, once every other day, and just play for an hour or so. Outside of that, I think I'm going to actually sit down and play Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Rolls off the tongue.
You got it.
Just kind of hangs in the air, doesn't it? I'm gonna give it a shot. I haven't played a COD in years. I was the guy that took it super seriously back when Black Ops 1 was out, and got to 15th prestige and all that. But I haven't touched one since. So I think I'm gonna give it the old college try and see how my old man reflexes hold up with the youngins in the lobbies. Outside of that, I have been playing this really awesome twin stick shooter action game called Children of Morta, which we've covered before. With my girlfriend, we've been doing some co-op on it, and it's a lot of fun, and it's got a lot of heart. So we're going to keep plugging away at that, and really enjoying my time with it so far.
Well, good stuff. Before we move on with the news for the week, wanted to say a couple quick programming notes. One, happy Black Friday / Cyber Monday if you're going to be participating in that, because those will both happen before we record our next show next week. So good luck snagging an Xbox Series X or Series S if you are shopping. And the shameless plug here is to follow at IGN Deals on Twitter. Our deals team is fantastic. They helped really all of us on the pre-order days, just routing us like, okay, it's up over here. It's up over here. And we pretty much all were able to get our pre-orders largely thanks to their just eagle-eyed, super fast efforts. So highly recommend following at IGN Deals on Twitter if you are in the market for a next-generation game console. And let's move on. Other than Yappa, remember, we want your Yappa video questions for Lootbox. Just look up this show's page, which just type in IGN Unlocked 471. Scroll down to the bottom, right above the comments, and just leave us a video comment. And we'd love to hear from you. We'll have one later on in the podcast. All right, time for the news. There is plenty of it this week. I want to start here, even though we do have a juicy Phil Spencer comment to get to. We'll do that next, but I want to start here because this is the thing that most excites me this week, and I want to hear from all of you about it. IO Interactive, most well-known, of course, for the Hitman series over many years. In fact, you could argue that Hitman's the only dedicated stealth series that's left. The Splinter Cell's dormant, which breaks my heart on a constant basis, and Kojima moved on from Metal Gear, and from Konami. So IO doing some good work out there in the stealth genre, and they are going to adapt that into their next project, which is not a Hitman game. It is a James Bond game, Project 007, which was announced via a very brief press release and a very brief, totally just CG trailer that doesn't really show anything. It's just a hey, we're doing this piece. And I want to go to Miranda's way first and just see what do you think of this combination here, Miranda? IO doing Bond.
A perfect fit. Like, it's hard to imagine other people who could make, I think, the Bond experience more of a sleek thing. Like, yes, Bond has like an aspect of stealth to it, but I think their talents with Hitman are just going to lend so well to that. I love Bond because it's just such a fun spy adventure, and I think they're going to mold that into something that's going to be unique that other studios maybe wouldn't be as equipped to do, just because IO does have so much experience there. So exciting.
Brandon, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think it's a super interesting pairing. It's a really interesting matchup. My immediate thought was like, well, Bond's always been more of an action shooter game, just based on history and the movies, really. But spycraft, all that good stuff. There is an element of stealth to it. So I think this might actually be the first time we see Bond as a stealth shooter, a stealth action game, maybe, if that's the direction that they're going with, which is interesting because, frankly, there hasn't been a good Bond game in a long time. Like, since maybe 007. There have been several since, but I don't know, what would, like, Time to Kill, Die Another Time?
Nightfire is the one that comes to mind as far as being a pretty good game, and that was original Xbox.
EA, right?
I think EA published that. I don't remember who developed it. I'll have to look it up, but yeah, you're right. It's definitely it's
been a minute. Yeah, so I'm very interested. I think if anyone can do it right, then IO can. I would love to see them take like the Crystal D approach with Tomb Raider, just kind of give it a really like serious go at it, rather than just a game of a license,
Yeah, Eurocom did that one back in the day, 2002. So that's even the early days of the original Xbox. That is a long. But by the time it'll be 20 years between that and IO's game. So yeah, I don't know if there's been a good one since Nightfire. There've hardly ever even been any attempts, right? It's been pretty dormant on the James Bond front for video games for a long
I think that's
time.
because they weren't commercially. Sorry, still waking up. They weren't commercially super viable. I don't think. Like they're fine. They were shooters, but did they sell well? I don't recall.
There was one on the Wii that was pretty decent. I think that was GoldenEye, right? I think it was a GoldenEye remake. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that coming back out.
Yeah. So that one was fine, but
what was GoldenEye?
yeah, there has
mid-90s. Sorry,
the original
Early
like
90s.
N64 GoldenEye.
Right?
Yeah, and I think for its time it was pretty phenomenal
It's my
and
first shooter.
a good game. I think today it's just like pretty atrocious.
Sure. Yeah,
but
it's
like
one of those-
but like we have that memory of what it. Yeah, we have that memory of what it.
97.
Can I tell you guys
What it
a
did.
quick fun bit about GoldenEye and it
Go
being my first shooter? So I was very young at the time, as you can imagine, and my mom was just like, you can't play that. And so what me and my twin sister would do, we would find it where she would hide the cartridge, and then when she would catch us, we're like, Mom, we're not shooting each other, we're just making wall art. And so we just shoot bullet holes in the wall.
Smiley
So-
faces.
Yeah, and I guess from my kind of bring it back to IO a little bit, I'm curious to see how they're going to make this such a I guess more of a distinct experience from Hitman. I think even though we do know them for stealth, I think there's going to be an aspect of that action kind of
Yeah.
evoked
Yeah,
in
there
the
has
game.
There has to be,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
You gotta get flashy.
But I mean that sets it up perfectly because
Mhm.
you need a palate cleanser between big shooty set pieces. Like we see it every year with Call of Duty, right? Where it's one set piece into another, and that the building on the suspense and the tension of those big set pieces is really something. But after a while, it's just like, oh, I just need like a quiet moment, you know. So I could see IO taking that direction. You stealth,
Press F to pay respects.
Right,
And then another
exactly.
stealth mission.
Well,
Mhm.
speaking of Miranda brought up GoldenEye, like obviously a big part of the happy memories from that game were the split screen multiplayer.
Right.
And so but IO is a developer that has not traditionally done multiplayer. I wonder if this game will have that multiplayer element or not. I don't need there to be one. I would rather just have an awesome single player game, but I know I'm an old man like yelling at a cloud at this point.
I don't even think that it's the old man yells at cloud. I think you're right in the fact that the multiplayer shooter space is so crowded these days, and you're going up against teams but you're releasing a product in the same space that's being developed by teams who have decades of experience doing this, who have honed those controls and honed that feel of a multiplayer shooter over annual releases for a decade. Like that's a hard business to break into. So I'm totally with you. I think a strong single player campaign is sort of, the best approach for this one.
And that's not even accounting for like you make a great point about the teams that are competing in that space and the brands, but like a lot of the biggest and best multiplayer games are free to play too, whether it's Call of Duty Warzone or Apex Legends, et cetera, PUBG, on top of the annual Call of Duty release. By the time this Bond game would be out from IO, Halo Infinite and its multiplayer will be out. So yeah, it's now granted, Bond is different than all of those. It is its own kind of thing. But yeah, I think I would, especially after talking through it with you guys, I would be a little surprised now, thinking more about it if this game has multiplayer in it. But real quick before we move to the next story, for me, the thing I wanted to bring up to get people thinking about is I'm excited about this because there isn't a major publisher involved. And I know that's like automatically disparaging to major publishers, but with a game like this and an IP like this, right? This is a major licensed game. We've seen them in the past. I mean, we just went through a little bit of the history of James Bond games. Yes, EA published a pretty good one in Nightfire, but there were a lot of totally forgettable ones too. And the industry has changed a lot. Just since those days where the stakes are higher and risk management is paramount. Nobody wants to take a lot of risks. IO they got the license from MGM, of course, the license holder of Bond, and they're publishing this as well. This is not like they're not buddying up with Activision or EA or Ubisoft or anybody. They're going to be putting this out themselves. So MGM is the only entity that they have to answer to. So I'm excited about this in part because the creative freedom on paper there should be a lot more of it than there would be if you had those other those other risk averse publisher cooks hanging out in the kitchen with you going, maybe let's not do that. Let's get another car chase in there. So I think that could be a really good thing for this game, and it'll be eager to see how it develops over the next few years. All right.
I love the example of that. Like that's how it happens in the boardroom. Like, car chase in there, tighten up the graphics on level 3.
Exactly. I know so much about this industry, clearly.
I'm really curious if it'll be Daniel Craig, because we know this upcoming movie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I read somewhere that it's going to be his last one. They're looking for a new Bond.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm curious. I mean, clearly you would think that this game is going to try to build off the hype of the movie that comes out whenever it comes out, because who knows when movies come out anymore.
I hope it's not.
Yeah. Do you hope they just go like actor agnostic and lean into like generic, raven-haired, super attractive super spy man?
Daniel Craig is a fantastic actor. But as a voice actor, I would rather a professional voice actor was doing the voice lines of whichever Bond character they choose to do. And they've done this a few different ways. I know there have been Bond games where there's multiple Bond characters that they sort of take you through the timeline, and then
Legends,
the GoldenEye on Wii, I believe, actually was Daniel Craig, and it was fine. But I would like sort of an agnostic Bond for the game that just has a really, really good voice actor.
Just throwing it out there, Simon Cardy. I mean,
his audition was great.
Cardy, he has auditioned for Bond, and everybody was really, glowing reviews.
Well,
so
I'll go one further with you. Like, number one, Destin, I agree with you. I don't think they're going to pay a big actor to be a part of it,
especially with no publisher on board, right?
Exactly, without the deep pockets of an Activision and EA. That's the trade-off. But I think they could go one better, and this could be a sort of a Half-Life type of storytelling vehicle, in that maybe you create your own James Bond, and including gender and everything. Like, maybe you just completely make your own Bond, and then they only ever refer to you as Bond and not James or 007, and you can just be whatever Bond you want to be.
Well, like in Call of Duty, they did that recently, where you could just sort of be whatever.
Yeah,
but you never really see your character.
Right.
So if they do that, I would love it if you could actually see your character or have a little bit more nuance with the character development. So it's not just sort of in there without any impact to actual gameplay, Yeah. But I love that idea. I just want to make sure that there's actually a piece to it within the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it changes your actual decisions throughout the game.
I mean, it's a big talking point throughout video games right now anyway, right? Like the dual protagonist, genderless protagonist, because it does. We actually had a good conversation about this on Review Crew about Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because the character is never referred to as anything other than Eivor, their name, right? And that game is all about familial bonds. So you never hear brother or sister or father or daughter or, does it water it down? Does it make it? Would the story be better served by actually sticking to a gender or creating a story specifically
I think that fart mission in Assassin's Creed would have really benefited from, that aspect being included.
Okay, well, you're making light of a serious topic here.
I think it's totally fine that you just refer to people as the name. Like,
my question is, will there be romance? That changes things too.
Like,
that's true.
Press X to Moneypenny.
Bond is very big on the romance, so if you just throwing it out there, it's key part of
seduction.
Well, a lot of interesting questions, and for IO Interactive, they've got a kind of a blank slate, blank canvas to work with, and we'll see what they come up with. All right, next up this week, Phil Spencer talking to The Verge, saying he thinks Xbox will release a smart TV app used to play games with no console required in the next 12 months. Spencer was asked what was stopping Microsoft from releasing Xbox as an app for smart TVs that meet a minimum hardware spec, and the answer, it seems, is nothing. Phil saying to The Verge, quote, "I think you're going to see that in the next 12 months. I don't think anything is going to stop us from doing that." He later continued, quote, "I don't think the outcome is by definition going to be everything becomes terminal server in my home and all my games are just running completely in the cloud. When we think about the evolution of our game platform, it's really more of a hybrid game platform between edge and cloud that we're shooting for." So that's, obviously we've talked about this time and again. They're not doing the Stadia thing that people have kind of reacted a bit abrasively to. They are kind of trying to use the console, the set-top box, and the cloud as complementary pieces rather than one replacing the other. So what do you guys think? Like, we just got these new $500 set-top boxes, which are great. Do you want to start playing stuff just through the cloud on the smart TV? Destin, I know you've got an excellent internet connection. Is that appealing to you?
Yeah, it never works one-to-one. There's always a little bit of delay that sort of throws you off. So if you want like the best experience, you still have the console. But let me finish that statement. I think this is totally fine and great. There's a lot of people that don't want to spend that much money on a brand new console, and they could just subscribe to Game Pass, which is definitely what this is leaning into, and have access to all of these games. Sure, you have a little bit of a latency issue, or significant, depending on how much of a latency purist you are. But for a lot of people, that's not a problem. For a lot of people, they just want a low barrier to entry. And if that means more people can game and get enjoyment out of gaming, that sounds great to me.
Yeah, Miranda, where are you with this?
I was just thinking about plugging in an Ethernet cord into my TV and how weird that would be. Because
it is weird. I have one in mind.
Whoa.
It's very strange.
I don't want to do that, but just kind of following up on Dustin as well, just sort of agreeing that I think the more ways you make these games available, just the better for everybody, especially for a lot of folks out there who maybe can't either get or afford a new Xbox right now, but really wants to be part of the ecosystem. It's like, here, you don't have to buy the whole thing. Of course, it's going to be a different experience from having full console, but having that option is so important. And I really like how they're embracing that, about making sure the games are kind of everywhere. You can play wherever you want. And it's not so much about the console.
Brandon?
Yeah, same. I mean, we had this conversation about ways that Microsoft can deliver Game Pass, which is, like Dustin said, clearly what this is aiming to do, which is leverage Game Pass and the cloud or edge, some combination thereof. It's super smart. Like if you want to bring people into your Game Pass service, you need to remove barriers for entry, which right now happens to be an Xbox.
A console you can't buy.
Or a PC.
Correct. Yeah. Or a PC. But, it kind of harkens back to Microsoft's talking point about, they want to allow you to play wherever you want to play. So you have your PlayStation 5, you have your PC, and now with either the little Cast device that we had heard about, or with just an app on your smart TV. I will say the apps generally tend to roll out slower. I know, like, I have an LG, and sometimes I know there are apps on the Samsung ecosystem or the Sony ecosystem, the TV brands, that I don't get on my LG just yet, right? So you got to wait for them. But I do think that between the little Cast and the TV, you're pretty well set up to just play Xbox Game Pass if that's as deep into Microsoft's sort of environment that you want to go. I think it's really smart.
For me, I totally look at this as the hybrid situation. Like, obviously, I have the great fortune of having the Series X at home, but normally, not this year, but normally I will go visit my parents in Arizona over the holidays, and I usually pack the console with me. So the machine, all the cables, controller. I would definitely love the ability to just bring the controller and, the little XCast USB device and just plug in to my parents' TV through their Wi-Fi and be able to actually just pick up where I left off on any games I played. So this will be really interesting to see how it organically becomes a natural part of the Xbox ecosystem. Because again, It's just such a very different approach and sort of inherent acceptance level than what Google has seen with Stadia, where they're trying to start an entire new thing that's purely in the cloud. Whereas this Xbox, I think, is just being so smart about introducing it as a complementary experience. So the next 12 months, maybe by this time next holiday, we can be streaming from anywhere. That'd be cool. Next up this week, we've got some game delays to talk about. Not a surprise there. COVID has impacted everyone and everything, including video games and the video game industry. None of these will come as a surprise, really. I mean, no delay does to me at this point. But Crossfire X will not make it had a very vague 2020 window on it. I've previewed it twice, a single player preview and a multiplayer preview. And both times it was, so what's the release date? Well, we're just saying 2020 for now. It's no longer 2020 anymore, which granted it's November 24th. That was probably pretty obvious, but there was a brief statement issued on social from Smilegate, which it was interesting that the statement referenced Smilegate specifically, who's developing, they're the original creators and developers of Crossfire, and they're doing the multiplayer for the Xbox version. But the single player, there was no mention of Remedy in this statement, and Remedy's doing this brand new single player campaign. So I know it kind of led me to go, well, I wonder if the campaign is done, but the multiplayer's not, since they referenced Smilegate and COVID. So either way, we're not getting that game this year. But Destin, you got to figure, like, the Xbox is so not that, let's be honest, Crossfire X is not like a Halo or Fable or Gears caliber.
Game looks awesome.
But Xbox has zero exclusives this holiday. There's nothing. So if they can get this out, like hopefully in the first couple months, like maybe by February, they're still probably going to stand to be in a pretty good position of releasing into an Xbox ecosystem that's completely starved for exclusives right now.
Yep. I mean, the game looks great. It's a bummer that it's 2021, basically. I hope they hit that Q1 in the new year. Not really much else to say. The game looks really, really cool, though. Like, I'm looking at the gameplay right now. I'm like, that looks
fun. It looks fun.
It looks
and
awesome.
Yeah, I had a good time with it. It's got a very kind of old school Counter-Strike kind of vibe to it on the multiplayer side.
Yeah, it reminds me of what was that game with the creepy girl on the front with the long hair?
Fear.
What?
Fear.
Yeah, Fear. It reminds me a lot of Fear with the slowdown mechanics and stuff like that. Looks cool. I want to play it.
Brandon, you gonna fire up Crossfire whenever it hits?
No, I'm not. And that's
You're gonna cross it off the list.
Nice. Just put an X through it. That's not a qualitative statement on the game itself. I'm just exhausted by contemporary military games at this point.
Yeah.
Like I can't do another tier 1 operators slog through. I just can't do it. So
I totally understand that.
I 100% think that they are taking the extra time needed to make this thing something that people will be excited for in 2021 when it comes out. I don't think it's for me, but I agree with Destin. It does look cool. It'll be interesting to see how it fares next year once more games start coming out on the Series X, because right now it's in a pretty decent position because, Ryan, you're right. There's nothing from an exclusive standpoint in the near future.
Miranda, you are a Call of Duty fan. I've very much compared the campaign, which I didn't get to play. It was a hands-off demo, but I compared it very much to a Call of Duty campaign. Are you as pre-exhausted by this as Brandon is, or are you looking forward to playing this when it does hit?
I'm looking forward to it because Remedy's doing the campaign, and I really like Remedy's games. I don't think it's going to have quite the Remedy twist we'll see like in their games, like their full games, just them. But I am curious to see what they do with this setting. So that's really all I care about. I don't want to play the multiplayer. I guess that's kind of where I relate to Brandon in that way, is that I'm a little tired of like the military shooter multiplayers. Like, unless you offer something that's really unique or just super sleek. I don't know. I'm all right. I'm good. I have my Call of Duty already. I have.
It's-
I don't know.
It's tough because I totally agree with you. Like the Remedy twist could be awesome,
Yeah.
but we've seen that twist in modern military games before, right? With the Manchurian Candidate, COINTELPRO brainwashing kind of
I
situation.
don't think you
like that.
necessarily. I'm not looking for that like story twist like that. It's more mechanical. Like I
Like,
want to
what
know
are they
how
gonna
they're
do
gonna bring their touch, because I mean, having just come off playing Control, it's so good, and it's not even just mostly a shooter, right? Like that's more of an action adventure game, but their shooting mechanics are solid. So I want to see how they take that into a full-on shooter with Crossfire. So
Next, Brandon Tyrell, I'll go back to you here.
Hey.
Far Cry 6. I know you've been a fan of this series, covering this series for a long time. You've got a cool antagonist again, as has become tradition in that series, but it was originally due out in February. Then it was pushed, and this is not confirmed, but there was a very brief mention before it was taken down on the Microsoft Store, so a pretty darn official source, that had the release date May 25th, 2021 on it. That's a good, so it's 6 months. It's 6 months from now. How are you as exhausted by the Far Cry series as you are with modern military shooters yet?
I'm exhausted by open world Ubisoft games, guys. Video games in general. No, I love me a good open world Ubisoft game. I know that they're loaded with things to do and find and hunt and collect and often feel padded, but there's just something about jumping into a world that someone else created. So I think I am looking forward to this one. I really enjoyed 5, but I have like familial bonds in Montana, so like I really enjoyed going to that stretch of the world
and killing everybody.
Yeah. I can see my aunt's house from here. I'm gonna blow it up.
Jeez.
You kill everyone in that game.
This is for 10 years of no birthday cards. No, this one looks great. I love the the psychological element of that sort of father and son relationship that we've seen firsthand. So I'm looking forward to it, to cover that part of it. I think the timing is really smart. Get out of Q1 or as late into Q1 as you can, because there's just a million things that have been delayed, and there are a million games that people are going to be playing over the holidays. So I really like, it needs more time, sounds like, which is great, because I don't know if you've played an open world Ubisoft game, but they tend to have some bugs. So the more time, the better. But I think May's a really smart place to position this as sort of like the last big push before you get into that summer quiet zone.
Right. Now the next one, Miranda, I think you and I are probably on the same page with this.
I just want to say, I'm really excited about. I'm super excited about Far Cry 6. Giancarlo Esposito, like being the main antagonist, and like that relationship with his son, just like the psychological drama that they're teasing for Far Cry 6 is incredibly enticing for me. I'm really, really excited to play that game. Also love Far Cry 5. Sorry, I just had to say that game looks awesome.
And we're at the point, like, this is a side conversation, but I wonder how much longer they're going to number these, because I don't know if there's like some like mental thing that marketers have studied, but not a lot of games, not a lot of franchises in anything actually get called by their number past this point. Like you don't see a lot of 7s. Final Fantasy, that's kind of one that's kept going, but you don't see a lot of 7. Like Call of Duty, dropped numbering forever ago. So yeah, I wonder what'll happen.
You're right. I think there is a psychological element to it. I read something a while ago that numbering a series actually adds validity to it, because you think it's an established series, it's been popular enough to make 6 of these. However, at some point you start getting diminishing returns, because people then think like, oh my God, I'm missing 5 games worth of context in order to jump into 6.
Yeah.
So
that's why I've been about Final Fantasy for so long.
Yeah, that trade-off happens.
Halo just dropped. They didn't make it to 6 as far as that naming convention goes. They stopped after 5.
Infinite Halos.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, Madden's going strong with 21 of those things now. So.
Yeah. But So we got to get Far Cry 6 out first, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, Miranda, Annapurna, with three of them. This is, of course, a absolutely boutique publisher who really has done a great job of building up just an impressive catalog, which they've done on the film side as well. They've mirrored that success on the game side. And first and foremost, 12 minutes, which just looks so good.
I cannot wait for that game. I'm cool with it being 2021, mostly because Cyberpunk is still on the horizon. So anything that gets delayed, I'm just like, good call. Just later, because I really want to give these games a lot of attention. I know Cyberpunk is just going to dominate my time, probably in my life, but it's fine. And I'm looking forward to it. So it's good to see these games get somewhere where they have a little bit more space. Obviously, Cyberpunk was also one of those games that was delayed, so it's not like they're moving out of the way for this. It's just more of, they need some more time with development. That's, of course, totally fine.
Yeah, we hadn't heard anything new. Like the last thing we got on 12 minutes was that fantastic trailer from...
Was it E3?
Okay.
Or was there one after that, Ryan?
Well, there was... You mean
there
the
was
July
show? But yeah.
We just had a voice cast announcement, though, didn't we?
Yeah,
and
it was the voice cast announcement. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know when that was. I don't remember.
Anyway, it was sometime like in the second half of this year. Like, it was not super long ago.
Try has no meaning anymore. It's fine.
Yeah. And
maybe they're playing.
Last Stop, also from Annapurna, which looked interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That has a guy. One of the characters looks exactly like me in that one, and I'm getting no royalties. If you look at the trailer for it, and then the Artful Escape as well, which I think Miranda has something to say about because she's vigorously highlighting it in our show notes.
I was trying to remember what it looked like because it looks cool. Oh, right. No. I was just remembering. I was like, is that the one with the guitar guy? It is.
Yes.
That's all. I just wanted to double check that was the weird kind of psychedelic guitar one. I feel like that one's been around for a while or like promoted for a while, but it's just been nebulously. It's coming out sometime.
Yeah, that wasn't. I think that was at Microsoft's actual last E3, like the E3 2019. That was one of the the more interesting trailers. So
that's cool.
Yeah, good stuff from Annapurna, but all of it is just nudged out to a still vague 2021, and we'll keep an eye. I mean, last I heard, 12 minutes they were close. So hopefully it's sooner rather than later for at least 12 minutes, and I'm not quite sure about the other two. Next up this week, Rocket League's developer, Psyonix. Just kind of an interesting... I know this is just going to this gets into console war territory, but just I bring it up here as a way to kind of highlight the choices of compatibility and the development of compatibility and the support for compatibility that Microsoft and Sony have made. So Psyonix has said that adding a 120 frame per second support to the Series X is a, quote, minor patch, but on PS5 it would require a full native port. So Psyonix was speaking to Eurogamer on this, and they said it was due to the way that backwards compatibility works on Sony's side. They say, quote, enabling 120 hertz on the Xbox Series X/S is a minor patch, but enabling it on PS5 requires a full native port due to how backwards compatibility is implemented on the console, and unfortunately wasn't possible due to our focus elsewhere. So, and I bring this up, and there's like two sides to how these two machines have ended up stacking up. A similar Eurogamer report from last week noted that Infinity Ward had added 120 frame per second support to Call of Duty Warzone on the Series X, but again, not the PS5. So which suggests that the generational transition and continuing to play the games from last gen that you want to play could be a better experience on the Series X. But on the flip side, Digital Foundry out there doing excellent work on the objective technical comparisons between new games, and they are finding that a number of these third-party launch games are running better and or looking better on the PS5 than they are on the Series X due to whatever the reason. I mean, I should say that's despite the fact that the Series X has more on-paper power. So, Destin, what do you make of kind of all of this, these just branching enough paths, these diverging paths that these two consoles that are fundamentally similar are taking here.
On paper, it doesn't make any sense that the PS5 is performing better than the Series X, and I'd be really curious to discover what the reasoning is. And I have to wonder if Microsoft is going to, or even these third parties, like Devil May Cry 5 is one of the games that was discovered to not be running at, I believe it was 120. It was running like somewhere in the 70s or 80s on Series X. That's just really baffling to me. Both those consoles should not have any issue running that game in particular at 120. So I'm really, really curious as to why that issue seems to be cropping up and what's going on there. Those consoles, besides the hard drive, are basically they have the same amount of power, even more
similar
CPU processing on the Xbox side. So the idea that it can't handle 120 just doesn't make sense, because most of these games use dynamic upscaling where they lower the resolution of the game, but then up the frame rate. Right. So once your console is set to 120 hertz, which is the refresh rate of your television, it should be able to push that amount of frames by using dynamic scaling. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on the developer side with that aspect of it that's preventing it from hitting what it handily hits on the PlayStation 5.
Miranda, is this affecting your decision to play third-party games at all yet?
No, it comes down to controller for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually seriously such a huge part of why I love my Xbox so much, just like that controller. So while that is unfortunate, I wonder how long this is going to be an issue. And I think there's some like interviews that would be really good to have after just hearing this news. It's like, hey, like maybe talk to some developers. Like, what roadblocks did you hit with developing for maybe Series X that you didn't see for PS5? Or was there just more of a focus on PS5? I'm not too sure how that goes. And I know the iterative process happens a lot on PC. So I don't know what would stop those from being so different. But again, I'm not a developer. I'm not an engineer. I don't know how that code changes between the two, or like how one may or may not be more intensive than the other. So I think that's just something, got to ask.
Yeah. Brandon, Miranda brings up a good point about whether this is temporary or not. Because again, 12 teraflops versus 10, in theory, this should equal out, if not tip the other way over time, right?
Yeah, well, that's my thought too. And like Destin said, the only real difference as far as base scale, the only thing that the PlayStation has an edge over the Series X is with the hard drive, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's the case, because again,
it's not. A hard drive wouldn't throttle your frames per second. It's just, I don't understand how that would even be possible, because both the hard drives are doing data rate of 3,500 megabits per second. I think the PS5 does 5,000 megabits per second, but because it is a Gen 4 versus a Gen 3 M2 drive. Yeah. Now, I know I'm getting pretty in the weeds there, but that is more than enough. If I can capture at 120, 1080, no problem, using an M2 Gen 3 with my current rig, there's no reason that those consoles can't output 120 easily. So I'd be it's just weird. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'd really love to hear from a developer about why this is happening. It has to be engine based, right?
Well, are you talking about the fact that third-party games, new third-party games are running better on the PS5, or you're talking about the fact that the PS5 can't do backwards compatibility 120?
I was talking about your comment about the hard drive speeds,
right?
And 3,500 should be more than enough to handle 120 frames per second, at least at 1080, right? So if they need to downscale to 1080 to hit that, I think that would be the better user experience when you're playing at that resolution. And I just don't understand why PlayStation's doing it and Xbox doesn't. I'm really curious to learn more, actually. So I just wanted to comment on the fact that the read write speed is it's there, like the information throughput is there on the hard drive side. And if the CPU is more powerful than the PS5, which we already knew, like we have more teraflops on the CPU, the GPUs are basically equal. I'm confused.
Yeah.
I want to know, where is the throttle being pulled back?
I think the story is not done being written yet. I do
Right.
think
Yeah.
that in a year from now, things could look different. I mean, the next big use case that will be absolutely a point of comparison very quickly is going to be Cyberpunk 2077. How's it run on PS5? How's it run on Series X? Destin, you better get that comparison tool that you've been putting together. Get it ready, my friend, because
That's
your
right.
time is coming in just a couple weeks. In fact, Cyberpunk 2077 disc copies have leaked into the wild. People have posted footage from the game on online. So I bring that up as just a warning to everyone. Be wary of spoilers on social media and on comment sections. If you're sensitive to potential story spoilers and things for Cyberpunk, you may want to consider muting some keywords on Twitter, maybe avoiding comment sections for another 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks to go until the game launches. But Destin, I wonder what that unpatched quote unquote gold version from a month ago looks like versus what we're actually going to be playing with the day one patch.
Yeah, they showed PlayStation today, I believe, came out, and they've showed Xbox gameplay, and they've showed PC gameplay, which looks stunning. I'm very happy that I'm playing on PC. For this one, I'm bummed that we don't have like optimized versions of the games they want. And looking at the PlayStation 4 Pro, you can see very early on he drives by a billboard, and I'm like, okay, they're upscaling from something, but that video's in 1080. So I don't know if they captured natively in 4K, and like I can't really even do a calculation to see what they're upscaling from on PS4 Pro. I hope it's 1080 at least for the Pro. And then
even that video you're referencing, we talked about. I think we talked last week that CD Projekt Red put out the Xbox version of that video, cutting back and forth between Series X and Xbox One X, and now you're referring to today they've released the same thing with PS4 Pro, PS5. But yeah, like Miranda, if you acquired a retail copy that's completely unpatched, that's not the version that CD Projekt Red wants you to play, would the temptation to pop that disc in and play be too great for you, or would you have the willpower to wait for launch day when the actual patch version?
I'd play. I'd absolutely play. I'm waiting. Oh, some textures aren't loading properly. I don't care. I'm still going at it. That's so fun. No, I don't know. If I'm like, I saw that disc copies got leaked, and I was just like making the worst face because I was really jealous. I'm just like, oh, I want to go. I want to play.
I love the idea you just catch your reflection in a monitor, and you're just like, oh.
Like, wow, that was a gross face. No, but yeah, absolutely. I think obviously day one patch has a lot in it usually as far as just performance things or like catching bugs. So like if you did run into something, I mean, I'm sure there are very, very, very few people who have access to this game right now that got those random disc copies out there. And if you are one of them, I'm so jealous. But I think if you do insert your disc, you have the understanding that one, you could get in trouble, and two, that you're probably going to play, a game that's less optimized, but just an understanding.
Well, you can't get in trouble if you bought it legally. It's not your fault
true.
if some retailer, put it on the shelf.
But if you stream it and start releasing footage, you absolutely can.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
You just go underground, disconnect all your internet, just get your snacks, get some blankets, get your cozy food.
Right.
Just have a good time.
Line your walls with lead so that they can't listen in and see in through their satellites. Brandon, would you? How about you? Would you wait, or would you just dive right into the gold disc version?
I'm sorry, I can't get over the fact you two have just conceptualized some sort of cyberpunk prepper bunker that you're going to be playing in underground with your Keanu Reeves body pillow and your hot chocolate.
You're not going to do that?
I'm not.
You'll have your onesies ready to go and all your microwavable food that I just maybe bought at the store yesterday.
More
why is Brandon making fun of my Keanu body pillow? I don't get it.
Well, the real question is it The Matrix? Is it Johnny Silverhand?
Matrix, Neo, of course.
Johnny Mnemonic, A Walk to Remember, or A Walk in the Clouds. What was that romantic one he did?
That's romantic to me.
What?
So John Wick, that's a romantic movie to me.
It is. John Wick is romantic. If you
I
think
love
about
those
it.
movies.
Because the puppy was a metaphor for his wife. You see,
Out for revenge.
if you asked me, if you gave me a copy of the disc and said it's going to be out in 2 weeks with the patch, or you could play it now, I would wait. I would sit on it.
You would wait. Look at you, Mr. Willpower.
I mean, it's not. Look. This is not a thing that's deserving of praise whatsoever. Like, the game isn't ready yet, and we live in a world where thousands, tens of thousands of games are released every single year that I want to play. Right? I mean, okay, if I play 1% of those, that's still more games than I can play in a year. So,
Yeah.
I'm happy to wait for the same thing with the segment we just talked about with 12 minutes. Like, there are certain games where, like, I just want them to be the best they can be. And I don't want to rush it. I don't need it right now. I know when I play it, it will be as intended. It will be the best version of it that there can be. And that's the version that I want to play. And for the time being, I will, play Smite. I don't know. Like, I'll play other video games.
That's like, go ahead, Destin.
No, Brandon makes a really good point. It's cool to wait until it's the premiere experience. I need.
It sounded like an abstinence commercial. It's cool to wait.
No, I want it now. I don't care. Just give me the early version. I want to get started on this work that I need to do, and I want to experience that campaign before it's ruined for me.
Yeah. Brandon,
Just the first level. Just the first level.
Yeah, just give me a little taste.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Hey kids, you know what's cool? Just first base.
Whoa! I wasn't making that analogy.
Oh man.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Well, I've already gone there, so I'm ready to go further.
You already played Cyberpunk.
Headline:
Very low
IGN's
level.
own Miranda Sanchez gets the first base for Cyberpunk 2077.
I haven't meet Keanu yet. I'm like, where's Johnny Silverhand?
That's where the body pillow comes in, baby. All right.
Brandon, I feel exactly the same way about the argument you just put forth about why you would hold off for the final version of the game, the day one version. Like, that's how I feel about early access games.
Everything,
Like,
yeah.
I respect the heck out of, like, I totally see the appeal of people that want to play something super early and be like kind of an active part of the development and making suggestions and finding things and actively helping to make the game better. For me, to your point of there being so many games, great games that I want to play coming out all the time, I am always happy to just wait till the final finished version. And then because you only get one chance at a first impression of a game, right? Like, do I want that first impression to be the totally polished thing that the developer envisioned, or the sort of rough sketch of it that, like, is cool and I can be a part of making it better? Like, I respect the heck out of that. But for me, given the spoils we have of just avalanche of great video games at all times, I am happy to let the early access folks do the great work, and I'll play it when it's done.
I'm right there with you. I've never enjoyed like PTS servers, like patch servers. I've never enjoyed jumping into something early. Like, I want to experience it as intended when it's ready. And I think we're in a super fortunate position right now, both in video gaming and us personally as hobbies. Like, we have access to a lot of video games that we can play. And, I know that's not the case for the majority of folks out there, but we also just have access to a million free-to-play games that are excellent quality. We have access to a million cheap games, Steam sales all the time. There's so much out there that I want to play that I have access to and can. And I think that portion of my statement is applicable to everybody else, right? Like, you have access to things if you do a little digging and looking around. Yeah. So I don't need to rush it. Take your time. It's cool to wait. Absolutely.
We don't have to wait too much longer for the next major update to Grand Theft Auto Online. And so I know we keep talking about wanting to play Sea of Thieves together as a show. Here's something else I would love to play with the three of you. Grand Theft Auto Online getting a new heist And not just that, it is in a totally new land area. It's the Cayo Perico heist. It's coming out on December 15th. So yes, we'd have to set aside Cyberpunk for a day, but it's described as the biggest heist ever. It adds an entire new island to the game. You can play it by yourself, which is nice if you don't want to just jump in, or maybe your friends aren't all kind of leveled up or whatever. But Rockstar announcing it with a teaser trailer, and their job is to infiltrate one of the most secure private islands in the entire world. You will evade or fight security and escape with valuable evidence, along with as much art, gold, and drug money as you can carry.
The Holy Trinity.
I mean, this is the first new geographical space of any significance, other than like an indoor space in GTA of any kind, whether it's 5 or online. I mean, since 5 came out. I mean, so it's, which was now 7 years ago. So
Jesus, really?
I really want to play this. This is I don't know about you guys, but this is as close to new GTA as we're going to get for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our GTA Online always looks cool. I played it a little bit. I dabbled in it after it came out, post GTA launch. It took a while to get up and running. I dabbled in it. I played around. I had a lot of fun, but I never really found a reason to like compel me to continue to keep going. Outside of like buying the cool apartment with 6 parking spaces. But every once in a while, I'll see on Twitter, our very own John Ryan and Eric Sapp and Brandon Hunt will like get on GTAO together and do like amazingly stupid things. And to me, that looks so fun. Like that looks just incredibly fun. So
you've never done the heist ever?
I've never done the heist. No, I
oh man, they're really good.
They're really good.
I quit well before that. But it just like, it's one of those situations where like, if you have the right friends, right, and you have the inclination to do it, I think it could be a really cool experience. I've just never done that. So I am interested in it. I think we'd have to knock out Sea of Thieves first, and then we could do it. But
Pirates first.
The bank heist and the airplane heist are very fun in GTAO. Yeah. I really like this. I'm excited to go to an island and rob it.
Is it supposed? I mean, GTA 5 takes place in like the greater LA area, right? So does this take place in Mexico? Is it supposed to be like Cabo San Lucas, or I guess it's an island, so it'd be what? Like
I would imagine so. Yeah. Down in the South Pacific, maybe something like that, or down, maybe even like in the Gulf of Mexico. Who knows? But yes, rob an island. That'll be fun. The last news story I want to touch on real quick is Xbox Games with Gold for December. Run through these real quick. The Raven Remastered and the backward compatible 360 game Saints Row Gat Out of Hell are both going to be on Xbox Live Gold on December 1st, while Bleed 2 and another 360 back compat game Stacking, that's Double Fine, will arrive on December 16th. Gat Out of Hell will leave on December 15th, followed by the Raven and Stacking on the 31st, and Bleed 2 is from the middle of the month, the middle of December to January 15th. Miranda, I think Stacking seems like the highlight here that everybody should play.
Yep, you say Double Fine, you say it's time to play a game. But I don't know about Bleed 2. It just reminds me of a conversation about Gun. It's like, wow, that's such a name, but Bleed 2, huh? I don't want to be an asshole. Sorry, excuse me, I'm not supposed to curse.
Clearly, Bleed 1 was successful. So
it's an arcade game. This is not what I expected. Sometimes you just hear a game title and you're just like, I have this image of it, and then that's not it.
Well, I implore you. There was an excellent Monolith, now the makers of Shadow of War. They had a series back in the day. There were 2 games, Blood and Blood 2. So now there's Bleed and Bleed 2.
And we're just conjugating these.
I think I'm just really disappointed that they had an opportunity here to make it like, this is just like a gory sort of imagery, right? Like bleeding.
And it's very not.
the blood was pink, though. Like if you have pink blood, okay, but that's not it. I mean, maybe I'm.
The art almost looks like the Behemoth.
And
Just
they are, and Behemoth is certainly a great studio, so that is a very flattering comparison. So, yes, so that of those, Podcast Unlocked says mark your calendar for December 16th and download Stacking, which is an excellent game from Double Fine from the 360 generation. All right, let's do the loot box. I mentioned at the top, your Yap. This is coming from Yappa. That's where we need to hear from you so we can see you and hear from you. You're on the show effectively. You're guest starring. Mark is our guest star this week, who wants to talk about the coming year of Xbox and the first full year of the new generation. Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Unlocked crew. So my question is, now that the Series X and S are out for the general public, and hopefully everybody will be able to get their hands on one relatively soon, what's a game that's coming in the next year or so that's flown under the radar that you think we should be really excited about? I know, for example, I'm really excited about Tunic, which the developer confirmed earlier in the year is coming to Series X and S as well as the Xbox One. But what's flown under the radar that you think we should be excited about? I know it's kind of hard to predict with the COVID situation right now, but give it your best go. What should we be pumped for that's flown under a little bit? Hope you're staying safe out there. Take care.
Brandon, did Mark take your answer of Tunic, or do you have another one that comes to mind as well? I know you've been.
That's funny.
Tunic.
I muted my mic so I could be like Xbox games in 2021. Tunic, Tunic definitely. But I'm very, very interested in Scorn. Like, I don't play scary games, but I am a huge fan of that art style, H.R. Giger, just weird sort of biomechanical grossness. I'm very interested in seeing what that's all about. So I think that's probably the one. I don't know. I don't know that I could say it's flown under the radar because there haven't been a whole lot of things to like bang the drum about. Yeah. But that, and though that game has certainly been trumpeted, we haven't really seen kind of what it is outside of, we know it's an atmospheric first-person shooter. So I'm definitely willing to boot it up and check it out. And if it gets too spoopy, then I'm out. But if it is as cool as it looks from the things that we've seen, that's the one I'm looking forward to right now.
Destin, how about you?
I cannot think of anything that flew under the radar, but I will say one of the games that I don't think people should sleep on is Bright Memory Infinite. Bright Memory is just really, really interesting in the way that they handle gunplay. And you're not a soldier, you're just a character. It's sort of like gunplay, but you also have swordplay in there. And it's a lot more like Devil May Cry than anything, but without going too much into the demons and stuff like that. I'm very, very interested in that one. I definitely think that people should at least give that game a chance. And I think Bright Memory is available.
It's a downport, yeah.
Yeah.
Downport is disingenuous, but it's a base version, and Infinite is the true next-gen version.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever you see about Bright Memory right now and the review scores and all that, know that is the foundation on which the next-gen version is being built.
The strength of that game is just the gunplay and the combat mechanics. It's really, really interesting and really, really fun. They teach you really quickly. I played the PC version. They teach you really quickly how to do everything that you're going to need to do on the Xbox. And I think it's going to translate really well to the Series X.
Nice. Miranda, what do you think?
It's really hard because a lot of the ones that I was really looking forward to are either out now, like Spiritfarer, or in early access, like Ooblets. So those are the ones that I had my eyes on for so long, at least for Ooblets. I was just like, when's Ooblets happening? And so it finally happened, and I'm very happy about it. So that's I guess one that I would like to champion a bit. It's a very good feel good, but it is early access, so it is something that is in progress of being updated constantly. Like they just recently added a new location you could go to, and there's I think still 2 or 3 more that they're supposed to add over time. So I think maybe in 2021 it would be cool to see if they did the full release of that. And I know, like Ryan, you were saying earlier with Brandon, that sometimes you prefer to just wait until something is done so that you have the full experience. I totally understand that. So I hope that's one of them that does happen. I would also like to shout out a small game called Outer Wilds that came out last year. Just so that
what is this game? I've never heard of this game. Yeah. You mean the Outer Worlds?
I'm sorry, please play Outer Wilds. Anyway, but joke aside, I am still starting to, I guess, cultivate my watchful eye on these like really great idea at Xbox games that they usually showcase at E3, but without the full E3 presentation as they usually have, it's been a little bit different because that's usually when we also get to go hands on with some of these games. That's where I got to play Spiritfarer for the first time. That's where I got to play Ooblets for the first time, and I fell in love with them instantly. And so I would really like to have that experience again, but maybe next year. We'll see.
Yeah, for me, we just talked about 12 minutes. I think that just
of course, yeah,
is going to be not that it's, I don't know, I guess that one's not exactly under the radar necessarily, but it's also not like something everybody's talking about, and I think more people should be, because that's, and I'm not even normally a big roguelike guy, but that's just the whole premise of that, now that they've layered on this extra level of incredible production value with these super talented voice actors, I am really eager to unfold that mystery through the kind of unique gameplay mechanic that they've got going on with that one. So yeah, I'm going to vote for 12 minutes. But then I guess I'll throw in a dark horse, a game that I reach out to this developer to check in every now and again, and progress is happening, but all has been quiet for a while. The Last Night, which is the sort of pixel art, but
cyberpunk,
better looking. Yeah, like it's got a very cyberpunk vibe to it. Look up that trailer. If you don't have no idea what I'm talking about, or you've forgotten this game, look it up. And that one, that would have been maybe 3 years ago now. Would have been maybe 2018, maybe even 2017.
We did an IGN first for it, yeah.
Well, we had an exclusive thing, like one
for December, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so that one. If the gameplay turns out anywhere near the sort of production value going into it, as far as the look and the vibe and the tone that they've crafted for that's going to be something super special. So keep an eye on that.
I will throw out one more quick one.
Yeah,
that is super under the radar. Elden Ring. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Every comment section on IGN. Where is Elden Ring?
Look, I don't have the best track record. I love Soulsborne games. I review a lot of them. I play most of them. I don't have a great track record for predicting them, because this is like the fourth year in a row I've said Bloodborne 2 is going to be announced, and I haven't seen that yet. But I do believe, I mean, last time we saw Elden Ring was E3 2019?
Yeah, I think so.
So we are due for information, and I would not be surprised if we get a bunch of information in Q1 2021 and then get a release date that is also Q1 2021. But we'll see.
Ooh, that'd be nice. That would be nice. We shall see. All right, let's do Unlock Block trivia before we go. Lewis from Suffolk, England. His gamer tag is Lou Gore, Lougore, if you'd like to make a friend on Xbox. Asks the following: in the holiday season of 2007, Xbox Live experienced a whole bunch of connectivity issues, and due to those issues, and as a gesture of goodwill, Microsoft gave all Xbox Live members a chance to redeem one free live arcade game in January, once they kind of get everything resolved, January of 2008. What was the free game? I do remember this one. This one I would have gotten right, and I'll be curious to hear from you guys here. In fact, before I give the choices, let me just give a scoring update, because we are almost out of the year. The final, I got to figure out. Actually, I got to get in touch with. I can't remember the name of the person off the top of my head that's doing our trophy, but we'll have to get that figured out now that we're not at the office anymore. So we have 1, 2, 3, probably I think 4 shows after this one, and the scoring is as such. Brandon is ahead by 2 points. So Miranda and Destin are tied for second. So it's 9 for Brandon, 7 each for Miranda and Destin. So BT, you can kind of lock things up here.
I'm going to lock it up today because I know this.
Oh, no.
This. 100% sure I know this.
That puts the pressure on Miranda and Destin to stay with it this week and get this right. So things are getting real interesting now. And so here we go. What was, again, a free game that Microsoft offered as a mea culpa for the rampant connectivity issues that Xbox Live suffered over the 2007 holiday season. So, was it Pinball FX, Eats Chowdown, Undertow, or Boom Boom Rocket? All four very good games, by the way. One of them was offered for free. So I'm going to go to Brandon last, and I'll go to Miranda first.
I don't know this, but I'm going to go with C, Undertow.
Okay. Do you remember Undertow?
I vaguely do, yes.
That was Chair's game before Shadow Complex.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a very good game. I mean, of course, both of those games are fantastic. But yeah, Undertow was excellent.
Pretty good track record, that Chair Entertainment.
Yes. Give us our Shadow Complex too, dang it.
Yeah.
And then Destin. What do you think here?
I think it's A, Pinball FX.
Okay. Sound very confident. I like that.
I want that trophy.
It was one or the other. I was
Coming for you, BT.
if you get this, I'm going to be angry because that was the other option I had.
Well,
and Brandon Tyrell, who claims to know it.
I do.
Bring it on.
This is how I came up in games writing, man. XBLA focused. I love these questions, so keep them coming. They're both very good guesses, and only one of them is right. And the correct answer is C, Undertow.
Yes.
Oh my
Well done, Miranda and Brandon.
Yeah. So it was a really interesting game. It reviewed really well. Undertow it's a totally underwater first person shooter. I wasn't a huge fan of it. It is a good game, but it just I didn't like the underwater aspects of it, which is the entire game really. But I think you can see the obvious development know-how from Undertow to Shadow Complex with Chair Entertainment, and it just. Man, if Shadow Complex put Chair Entertainment on the map, then Undertow was like the first sign of this team knows what it's doing.
Yes,
sure.
Very true. So, Lewis, thank you so much. Excellent trivia question there. And I invite you guys, keep them coming. I still need some good ones to close out the year with. Email me, unlocked@ign.com. Include the question, 4 multiple choice answers, and note the correct answer in your email. And we'll play again next week. But with that, we've got to hit the road. I'm Ryan McCaffrey. You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. Destin Legary.
At Destin Legary.
Out.
Okay.
No, but with a plug, I mean.
Oh, yeah, like at Destin Legary. And, oh, man, I got a lot of sales stuff going on right now that I have to deal with. But you can also check out my streams at twitch.tv/Destin. And I'm too tired to promote anything. That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Brandon, what are you up to?
Oh, I'm having trouble getting over Destin this week. I don't know why. Everything he says is hilarious to me. You can find me on Twitter at Brandon Tyrell. You can find me at IGN doing content and stuff. And remember, it's cool to wait.
Miranda Sanchez, take us home.
You do what you've got to do anyway, but safely. What am I referring to? I'm talking about going outside and going to the grocery store. Please be safe.
Right.
No, but really though, please do be safe and stay home. You can follow me at Havoc Rose, that's Havoc with a K, on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, everywhere else. I have stationary streams if you want to have a chill Thanksgiving. I do those on Sunday. I'm playing Control still. I love it. I'm playing that tonight on Twitch. And of course for IGN stuff, which is the most important thing that I want to talk about here, is our guides. We're working really hard for y'all, and I hope you enjoy them.
Yeah,
As someone who played through. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it just said you got to bookmark Miranda and her team's Cyberpunk 2077 wiki. Bookmark it now.
Oh yes,
it's going to be getting updated quite a lot.
You guys, if I can hype you up a little bit, I have a really great spreadsheet. It's really cool.
It's really cool.
The other thing that's really cool is your Assassin's Creed Valhalla map and all the wiki support for that. And as someone who has played through that game, oh my God, it is so helpful now to see where everything is.
We have an exclusive interactive map. So that was something that we worked really hard to get. And our our team is working hard on making sure that's all filled out. So a little extra help for you.
Great stuff, everybody. All right, this was Unlocked 471. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you all back here in the month of December. We'll see you then.